are fast approaching early voting across the United States. What is the overall message of the Democratic and Republican Party?
Global climate change treaty, should the U.S. adhere to it?
Yes. Tom Friedman has something called the Trump doctrine. He says, it goes something like this. Barack built it. Trump broke it. You fix it.
We already have rules and regulations in place. We need to enforce it. I do know the EPA under Barack Obama, President Obama, there were 56 regulations put forward. And I want people to understand what that number means. 56 in 8 years. Under Clinton and Bush, totality, there were 5. They were rolling these regulations out like never before. At the same time, the quality of our environment decreased. Why? Because they were not focused on the enforcement and the results, just rolling out regulations.
Congressman O'Rourke is not able to work with President Trump, and indeed, Congressman O'Rourke is the only Democratic Senate nominee in the country who has explicitly come out for impeaching President Trump. That is extreme, and it means if Congressman O'Rourke has his way, he mentioned a shutdown. You want to talk about a shutdown with Congressman O'Rourke leading the way, 2 years of a partisan circus shutting down the federal government in a witch hunt on the president. That's not good for the state of Texas. It's not good for our country.
If you have this special relationship with President Trump, then where is the result of that?
Congressman O'Rourke just asked an interesting question. He said, where are the results? Congressman O'Rourke and I were both elected to Congress on the same day 6 years ago, November of 2012. We've served exactly the same length of time in Congress. In those 6 years, I have authored and passed 34 separate pieces of legislation, major victories for the American people. But he asked where are the results. I'll point to one front and center, which is the historic tax cut that I spent thousands of hours bringing senators together, getting passed. And he said, where are the results? The state of Texas is booming. We've got right now the lowest unemployment in 49 years.
So you're proud of the way President Trump has behaved in office?
I am proud that he has gone to the White House and he is leading our country in the right direction. I am proud to be working with him to provide more opportunities and to make sure we keep our country safe. He didn't need to be doing this. I've gotten to know him over the last year and a half, and he loves America, and he is fighting for Americans every single day, and I'm going to keep working with him to provide more opportunities for all of us.
Ted, I think this is an area where we do have a difference of opinion. I believe Arizonans deserve a senator who just calls the balls and the strikes and doesn't just always agree with their party leaders.
While we were in harm's way, she was protesting our troops in a pink tutu. And in 2003, while she was on the radio, you said it was okay for Americans to join the Taliban to fight against us. You said you had no problem with that.
We're running out of time, but we have to let you respond to that.
I want to ask right now whether you're going to apologize to the veterans and me for saying it's okay to commit treason.
We are running out of time, so we got to get a response.
Well, we need a response because she owes us an apology.
Please.
Well, Martha has chosen to run a campaign like the one you're seeing right now.
So my question is, do you support what President Trump says or what his Justice Department does? Kim Schreier?
Well, I think we should always look at the actions more than we look at the words. And I don't trust that this president will follow through and protect people with pre-existing conditions because he has run and his party has run for years now on repealing the Affordable Care Act, which would take away those very protections for people like me with type 1 diabetes.
I've been very clear all along that we have to do something about pre-existing conditions, even if it's a subsidized high-risk pool, because it could bankrupt a family. I have pre-existing conditions in my family. That's a real concern. But when Obamacare came in, the Affordable Care Act, I lost my health care for myself, my wife, and my 4 children. I ended up with a lousy plan that got 2.5 times as much. My goal is to have as many health insurance companies chasing you around for your business as I can possibly get. So you can decide what's in your plan versus some bureaucrat or politician in D.C. deciding for you. That's freedom. That's what we need to have. We need to have competition in that system to get that done. You want to talk about governing style. I have an opponent who comes from the resistance movement. You come from the resistance movement, you're telling the world that you're really not willing to work with anybody else unless they agree with you. My opponents marched in more protests, angry protests in Seattle than parades in the district. I had my kickoff breakfast, campaign kickoff with Steve Largent, Seahawks, Steve Largent. I had 8 protesters out front, and my opponent was one of the 8 protesters, put it up on Facebook, standing there with a nasty sign about me. Now, I worked across party lines. You cannot work across party lines by doing that. We have enough people yelling at each other in politics without adding another one. I was actually very, very successful in business and in politics and in life by not yelling at people. There's no way you can work across party lines by yelling at somebody.
Radical Democrats were on a mission to resist, obstruct, delay, demolish, and destroy. On November 6th, you have the chance to stop the radical Democrats. Democrats want to raise your taxes, impose socialism, dismantle law enforcement, eliminate ICE, and get rid of American borders. In their lust for power, the Democrats have become totally unhinged. They've gone crazy.
As an American voter and citizen, if you thought that the Kavanaugh hearing was a politically motivated monstrosity that made a mockery of our right to due process, you haven't seen anything yet.
If it were a Democratic majority, this man would not have been confirmed to the Supreme Court.
So, a quick follow-up, Senator Feinstein. Would you then be in favor or opposed to your colleagues who would want to open up the investigation of allegations against Brett Kavanaugh?
Oh, I'd be in favor of opening up the allegations, absolutely.
Okay.
A win by the Democrats in the House will empower the madness of Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and unleash an unrelenting series of hearings focused on Trump gridlock and impeachment involving the Agriculture, Intelligence, Foreign Affairs, and Judiciary committees.
Also, if the Democrats take over the House, then he's going to be subpoenaed to death and investigated to death.
Midterms usually favor the minority party, but never has the minority threatened violence and full-blown socialism on American citizens like they are today.
My husband died in 9/11.
Good for him. Good. Good. Those NYPD were a bunch of sodomizing immigrants with their bully sticks. So yeah, your husband should probably rot in the grave.
John Bowne reporting.